Human error caused the incident. It's probably the most common sentence written in safety reports and investigation reports around the world. And it might also be one of the least useful. Because if human error is the cause, then what caused the human error? That question changes everything. This is Myth Busted number 2 in my series on common safety myths that continue to shape workplaces, investigations, and leadership decisions. When organisations label human error as the cause of an event, what they often do unintentionally is stop learning too early. The investigation ends at the worker. The focus becomes the misstep, the wrong decision, the lapse in attention, the failure to comply. But decades of research in human factors, cognitive systems engineering, and safety science shows us something very different. People are not usually the origin of failure in complex systems. They are inheriting the conditions of the system they work within. As Professor James Reason once said, human error is a consequence, not a cause. And Sidney Dekker takes this even further. People's actions make sense to them at the time, given the goals, the pressures, the information, the resources, and the conditions surrounding them. So if we truly want to understand events, we have to stop asking who failed and start asking what made that action make sense at the time. Think about the environments that people work in: time pressure, fatigue, conflicting goals, understaffing, poorly designed procedures, interruptions, technology issues, production pressures, resource constraints. Workers are constantly adapting to keep the system functioning. In fact, research from Safety2 and resilience engineering shows that the same human adaptability blamed in failures is also what prevents failure every single day. People adjust, they problem solve, they fill gaps, they create safety through their expertise and their trade-offs. Yet when something goes wrong, we suddenly isolate one moment in time and say, there, human error. But the worker was operating inside a system that shaped the available choices. If a procedure is impossible to follow under operational conditions, if staffing levels force shortcuts, if productivity quietly outweighs safety in daily decision making, then blaming the worker is not analysis, it's just simplification. Modern safety science has moved well beyond the idea that accidents are simply caused by careless people. Researchers like James Reason, Sidney Dekker, Eric Holnagel, and David Woods have consistently demonstrated that incidents emerge from interactions across systems, not isolated acts by individuals. The evidence repeatedly shows systems drift, pressures accumulate, trade-offs become normalized, and organizations gradually move towards the boundaries of safe operation. The worker is often the last link in a much longer and bigger story, and importantly, removing the worker rarely removes the problem, because another person placed in the same conditions will often make similar adaptations. That's not incompetence, that's local rationality. If we want fewer events, we need to stop treating humans as the problem to control and start understanding people as a source of insight into how the system actually operates. The question is not how do we stop human error? The better question is how do we build systems that support people to succeed under real operational conditions? Because safety doesn't improve when we simply blame the person closest to the event. Safety improves when organizations become curious enough to understand the conditions that shaped that outcome in the first place. And that requires something much harder than blame. It requires learning. Human error is not the beginning of an investigation. It should be the beginning of curiosity.